First at 4, the city of Tybee Island is preparing for the return of the massive beach festival formerly known as Orange Crush.
For the second year, leaders gave permits to an organizer to lead the event in hopes to bring protection and organization to the island ahead of the thousands expected to attend. WSCV's Jillian Coles explains the traffic and safety plans leaders there are sharing with residents.
Tybee city leaders are preparing for large crowds ahead of Crush Reloaded. They say it'll be all hands on deck with a noticeable increase in safety personnel across the island. Tybee Island Police Chief Tiffany Hayes says planning for this large-scale event began in November, calling in backup from multiple law enforcement and safety agencies like Georgia arson investigators to help patrol the streets of Tybee. She says bicycle barricades will protect residential areas while keeping routes open for emergency crews. Parking on the south side will be closed and instead will operate as tow-away lots, event staging, and parking for island employees. An emergency lane will be blocked off with road closures starting April 17th.
Every year we have a handful of people that decide to ride their bicycles down the emergency lane because they feel it's free and open, but that is dangerous for the public safety and it's dangerous also for the individuals that choose to do that. We have a very nice designated bike route. Please utilize the bike route.
If you couldn't make it to the meeting this afternoon, there is another opportunity. City leaders will host a second session tonight here at the Tybee Island Police Department at 6 p.m. Reporting on Tybee Island, Jillian Coles, WSAV News 3. On your side.
The Savannah Police Department headquarters downtown has officially reopened after a 3-year-long renovation. Crews have made improvements to help officers fight crime. WSAV's Isley Herschel attended that ribbon cutting.
The updates on the police headquarters totaled $13.5 million, and city officials tell me it was worth the investment. Mayor Vin Johnson says this building has had many generations of police officers in it, so it needed an upgrade. City officials tell me the building was repainted and new flooring was added. Along with that, the elevators were modernized and ramps were added to make the building ADA accessible. Chief Lenny Gunther tells me he's excited to return to the building that he calls home.
This is the best police department in our nation, and to be the best, you have to have the best. And our city invested a lot of money into this building to ensure that we have the best workplace.
The new headquarters construction started in 2023, and officers say they're ready to move back in and get to work making Savannah a safer place. In Savannah, Isley Herschel, WSAV News 3, on your side.
A beloved Garden City barbecue spot has been a part of our community for decades, serving generations of neighbors and families. But this past weekend, fire tore through part of that building. WSCV's Nakaya Harris now on the scene today, and she's sharing with us how the owner's leaning on faith and her community and determination as well to keep Smokey's story going.
I'm standing here where the fire did the most damage. This whole area charred over the weekend, but the owner says Smokey's story isn't ending here.
Sunday's fire tore through part of the building, damaging the wooden porch, a hair salon, and an apartment. Areas that weren't burned, such as the restaurant, still remain closed. But despite the damage, owner Tammy Woodward says her priority has been the people around her, making sure they can keep working while she figures out what comes next.
No emotions really took over or anything, I guess, at that moment, because I'm just the kind of person that I'm always concerned about everybody else, and I want to make sure everybody is taken care of. There are moments that I just want to cry, but I think about the end result, that it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
The business does have a GoFundMe to help them in this rebuilding process. We will have all that information on our website. That's WSAV.com. Reporting in Garden City, Nakaya Harris, WSAV News 3, on your side.
A suspect has been taken into custody after an overnight shooting at a Savannah motel. Officers with the Chatham County Police Department were dispatched to the Thunderbird Motel on Ogeechee Road around 12:30 this morning. They were able to locate a woman who suffered a gunshot wound. She was taken to the hospital with potentially life-threatening injuries. According to the initial investigation, the victim was shot through her door during a fight with someone outside. The suspect fled the scene but was later taken into custody by Savannah police, and we're working to learn more about who that person is. If you have any information that could help investigators, call Crime Stoppers at 912-234-2020.
Police in Garden City also investigating a shooting that left one person dead. Police responded to the 300 block of Chathamville Drive around 6:45 yesterday evening. They found a man who had been shot. He later died at the hospital. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Garden City Police Department. Here's that number for you, 912-963-2709. Again, that's 963-2709.
Deputies in Colleton County investigating after an armed robbery in Jacksonboro last night. The Colleton County Sheriff's Office says that around 9, an armed man robbed the Dollar General store at the Ace Basin Parkway at gunpoint. He took an undisclosed amount of money from the store's registers and the safe before running away. As you can see in the surveillance video, the suspect concealed his identity with a mask, hat, glasses, and gloves. Again, the suspect ran, but deputies believe he eventually left the area in a car. No injuries have been reported.
As the last few months of this fiscal year wind down, Bulloch County commissioners and staff are starting discussions about next year's budget. WSAV's Evan Smokey explains the growing needs of the county.
Many Bulloch County leaders believe they need more workers to service the rising population. And to cover all costs, it'll cost them approximately $6 million. Chairman David Bennett says that number is the total cost if all requested positions were added next year. County workers already make up a large portion of the annual budget, but are needed to help keep the county stable amidst population growth. Local governments can only use certain funds to pay for personnel and additional resources like revenue from the recently passed floating local options sales tax is not available yet.
That money has to be collected for an entire year before it can be used to directly offset property taxes. So we won't be able to touch that money until 2027. So for this budget year, we still have to get through this paying for just those items with property taxes.
Bennett stressed that budget discussions have only just begun and will continue until the new fiscal year starts on July 1st. Reporting in Statesboro, Evan Smoke, WSAV News 3, on your side.
A recent discovery by the town of Port Royal now has local, county, and school officials scrambling for cash. A 300-unit apartment complex no longer has to pay property taxes, which has led to a lot of questions about how this could be possible. WSAV's Danielle Cobb has a closer look.
Is it a smart business decision or an unfair loophole in the system to get out of paying property taxes? Regardless, one apartment complex's decision has ripped away more than $1 million in taxes that otherwise would have been divided among Beaufort County, the town of Port Royal, and county schools. The preserve at Port Royal, who generates about $1.3 million a year in property tax, is now fully exempt from paying up to local municipalities and the school system. Officials explain that because the complex designated a small part of the property to affordable housing, they didn't have to pay property taxes on the whole thing. It was approved by the Department of Revenue, and town officials say it's due to what they call a loophole in the state code of exemptions.
Nobody likes to pay property taxes, but we all expect our roads to be paved. We all expect police officers to show up. We all expect red fire trucks to show up. We all expect ambulances to show up, and we all share in the burden of funding those things. And when an apartment complex with 40 buildings and over 300 units is no longer participating, that's a problem.
The town's concern now lies in more apartment complexes catching on and what those impacts will look like, not just on a local level, but across the state. They're hoping for changes to the bill that allows this, but even so, this complex would be grandfathered in to not paying property taxes again. Danielle Cobb, WSAV News 3, on your side.
The city of Savannah is looking at ways to better manage parking supply and demand in the historic district, but that could mean more meters. WSAV's Sarah Smith has more now on the options city leaders are considering.
Officials are zeroing in on parking issues in neighborhoods stretching from River Street to Victory Drive. But in dense areas like right here off of Forsyth Park, parking is free and unregulated, but that could change.
People who live on that block, visitors coming to that block, delivery services like FedEx and UPS, sometimes tour groups, tour buses, trolleys, rideshare, taxis, all of these groups compete for some piece of the curb.
A study shows 83% of on-street parking spaces are unregulated and offer no protection for residents in Savannah, and data shows people who work and go to school in those areas and short-term vacation guests are largely putting the pressure on parking. Officials believe they may have a solution. City Manager Jay Melders says parking meters protect people who live in historic neighborhoods and could encourage people to use city parking garages. The areas with the largest spike in utilization and need for regulation include Forsyth Park and the Starland District. The plan still has to go in front of council to formally adopt it and make any ordinance changes.
In areas where paid parking is implemented, the city discussed expanding their residential decal program. Reporting in Savannah, I'm Sarah Smith, WSAV News 3, on your side.
Company officials with FedEx say one of its Savannah locations will soon be closing. We are told the location on Nicholson Drive will close its doors on June 1st and is part of a previously announced network transformation strategy. A spokesperson with FedEx says the facility employs 107 people and that those working there were notified of the changes several months ago. Officials tell us that they are also providing career support for those affected, and many will be offered other positions within the company. Customers will now need to visit the Pooler office on Coleman Parkway Boulevard to receive those same services. 8 area locations will remain open once the Nicholson Drive location closes.
Now, Time Saver Traffic, sponsored by Arrowhead Clinic, the accident doctors, where it pays to get well.
Taking a look at I-16 westbound in Pooler, we've had congestion at the ramp, of course, so you know how it is if you're heading on from 16 west to Pooler Parkway. 95, the lane drop along with the construction, that means it's a slow go through a lot of the low country, including portions of Hardyville. There's a camera showing you again, bit of congestion there. I-95 at Highway 17. Otherwise, no major issues on Georgia 204 except just past King George. If you are heading home, if you are heading home right now to Richmond Hill, it's about 25 minutes if you are going down Ogeechee.